Well, hello, and a warm welcome back to another weekend on my allotment, it being Remembrance Weekend. Today's actually Saturday. Tomorrow, as well as being Remembrance Sunday, it coincides with my mum's birthday, so we're going down, taking her out for a meal, which I expect will have been done by the time you watch this. So I'm up on a Saturday, so I'll see John today, which will be nice. I won't see anybody else. Nobody else is using their allotments. But it'll be nice to be up here. No sunrises. The weather's been strange for a couple of weeks. Every day is the same. Thick cloud. Sometimes we get a little bit of drizzle, but nothing significant. I work in my t-shirt all day long, and it's mid-November. The temperatures are up about 10 degrees in the middle of the day. Next week it's set to get a little bit warmer, up as far as 14 or 15. But we haven't had any rain, proper rain now for about 2 weeks, which is very welcome. I mean, the ground is still wet. We had significant heavy rain before this 2 weeks. Nothing needs any watering, obviously. And really, you know, you'll have seen over my last couple of videos, this time of year it's all about tidying up and putting the beds to bed, ready for the spring. I've done a few things this week. First and foremost, I showed you on my last video the broccoli just off shot. I had a few quite modest little heads on them. Never done that before. I can only grow clubroot resistant brassicas on the plot because of clubroot. But in July, August, I sowed another set of broccoli and cabbages, planted them up, and we harvested them and ate them this week, which was very welcome. So I am learning. Those are the skills I'm developing to broaden the harvest so that it doesn't all come in one big lump and all have to go in the freezer or to the farm shop or get eaten very quickly. I'm learning to spread those crops out through the year. And if next year our ambition comes to pass, and we end up with a larger greenhouse and or a polytunnel will significantly improve the ability for me to grow crops throughout the year. And it's an absolute tragedy that polytunnel is sat there, well over £1,000 worth of polytunnel, and nothing been grown in it since the first year he used it. He grew some aubergines in it the first year. Since then, he's never grown a thing in it. Aren't people strange? Anyway, I've mentioned him before. I won't go on about it. So anyway, you're very welcome. Let's have a look around at what I've been doing and what I'm doing today. So yes, this is the bed of brassicas that I sowed in the summer, and all the broccoli have now been harvested. And at the end here I've got some cabbages. I genuinely have no idea how they're going to fare, because they're not spring cabbages, they're not winter cabbages, they're summer cabbages, but I'm going to leave them and we'll see. And if I can take you across to the asparagus bed, you can see, I think you can see there clearly the base of the apple. That's been weeded and top dressed with some compost from home that I make in the Aero Hotbin, which I'm in the process of emptying at the moment. I'm being a little over optimistic, thinking, well, I've got to stop using it because it's a big old lump and we've got to take that with us. So I'm being well optimistic, because even if our house sells, and that's not certain, it's months before we go anywhere. But anyway, that's what I'm doing, and that's some really good quality stuff that's around the apple tree. Of course, making sure not to let it touch the trunk, because it could cause rot at the base. And you can see there's a grease band around that tree trunk, and I'm going to take that off today. That was put on by Carl this time last year, my son-in-law, and I'm going to replace it today and eat a couple of apples. Well, this is the unholy mess that is my leek bed, and today I'm going to carry on with the process of harvesting the leeks, and then, rather than weeding it patiently, which is not my strong point, I got another large cardboard box from the golf driving range next door this week, So I shall extend that cardboard and just smother these weeds and hope that they die over the winter. It's an experiment. I don't think I've ever done that before. So it'll be interesting to see if when I lift the cardboard in the spring the weeds are dead. I'm not sure. We'll see. Yes, I mentioned the Aero Hotbin at home, and I have done a review of it on a previous episode a couple of years back now. We've had it a few years. Superb bit of kit. I can thoroughly recommend them. They're not cheap. I think it was about 270 quid, but it's invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And this is what it makes, and it does it in a few weeks. It's, you know, it's so hot inside that it superheats and breaks everything down very, very quickly. Really good bit of kit. Anyway, these are the potato tubs, and I've weeded them this year, and in the process of weeding them I found one of the tubs I hadn't harvested, so we've got some very nice unblemished new potatoes at home to eat in the next couple of weeks. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to top these tubs up to the brim with this homemade compost, and then I'm going to start the process of weeding the carrot tubs. And this pallet, it actually came from the golf driving range again. It came with the cardboard. They had something delivered on a pallet, and I very graciously helped them out and took the pallet off them, and I'm busy chopping it up into kindling for the Kelly kettle. So that's another job I'm going to carry on with this week, today. Yeah, very good. And that apple tree has also been mulched. If only I had a massive hot bin that would do all of these beds, because it is real good quality compost. Never mind. Right, I've got a brew back in the shed. Actually, before I go and drink my brew, this is my rhubarb bed. These rhubarb plants will definitely be coming with us when we go. And we went to Knight's Hayes, a National Trust garden down in Devon, a few years ago, and they have a national collection of rhubarb, and all their rhubarb is grown through this membrane. And I thought, what a good idea, because, you know, when it gets big in the summer, it's really hard to weed around, but of course you don't need to if you've got it growing through membrane. So I copied them, and it's proved to be a very successful idea. But this week I dug up, the membrane is held down by the soil in my irrigation ditch. I pulled the membrane out, I flipped it off the plants, and I top dressed with that same hot bin compost. So they've had a very, very thick, heavy layer of mulch, really good quality stuff, and they will really benefit from that next spring, I hope. So that's the rhubarb. And I would just take the opportunity to say, you know, this is an abandoned plot. The lady has paid for it for the last 3 years and has not stepped foot on it. It's an absolute diabolical mess. How anyone is going to be able to grow fruits and veg on this again is utterly beyond me. But these nasturtiums, they are stunning. They just take hold. The moment you let land lay dormant, they're in. And they are the most stunning plants. This is one of 3 beetroot beds, and as I went to pass it on the way to my coffee, which is cooling ever more as I waffle, I thought, right, this needs sorting. I've left the runner beans there for a few months so that I could pick the dried seeds, which I've now done, so that can all be cleared away, and this bed needs weeding. So that's another job I've put on the list for today. And I think that'll do. We have another viewing tomorrow, and Cheryl, well, while we're away down at my mum's, which sort of fits perfect, but Cheryl does work so hard to make the house even more tidy. I mean, you could walk in our house any time of the day unannounced. I mean, that would be a crime, of course, but apart from that, it would be immaculate. There's never a thing out of place. I'm not allowed in the house in my work clothes. Must draw a picture for the neighbours. Yeah, I have to take my shoes and socks and outside, and when I get in the kitchen door, the first thing I have to do is remove my trousers. We won't go there. But So she works very hard, so I thought this afternoon I ought to go home and just help her out, cause a nuisance, make a fuss and get in the way generally, but I want to show willing. So that is the plot mid-November. Well, it's that time again, your weekly dose of culture. 95% of baby rabbits don't survive beyond their first 6 months. In 3 years, 2 mating rabbits can theoretically produce 33 million relatives. The world's biggest rabbit, Ralph from East Sussex, costs £50 a week to feed. Why would you? Eat the blimmin' thing. Earmuffs were invented by a 13-year-old. Within 7 years of their invention, 60% of the US population owned boom boxes. Are those big sort of things they held? A collection of boomerangs and a Z bed were found in Tutankhamun's tomb. Tutankhamun died of a broken leg. Some whales are born with a small leg protruding from their body. Whales have hip bones, which means they must have once left the oceans, grown legs, decided they didn't like it and went back in the sea again. The bar stools on Aristotle Onassis's yacht were upholstered with whale foreskins. And then you go and sit. Moby Dick was based on a real sperm whale named Mocha Dick. Must be linked to the... Geronimo's real name was Goyathle, meaning he who yawns. Yawning cools your brain like a fan cools the inside of a computer. I never knew that. Babies yawn in the womb. They also swallow, stretch and hiccup. Babies up to the age of 6 months can swallow and breathe at the same time. Pandiculation is yawning and stretching at the same time. There is enough carbon in your body to make 9,000 pencils. You lose a pound of carbon in weight every night just breathing. I know when I do that next to my wife it irritates her. Oh, he's still breathing. Minus 40 degrees Celsius and minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit are the same temperature. There are 300 lakes beneath Antarctica that are kept from freezing by the warmth of the Earth's core. That's interesting. Husky dogs have been banned from Antarctica since 1994. When Roald Amundsen travelled to the South Pole, he ate his huskies on the way back. Right, listen dogs, this is a one-way ticket. Only one dog has ever been to both the North and South Poles. During the 1962 World Cup, a dog ran onto the pitch and urinated on Jimmy Greaves. I'll finish with this. Russian cosmonauts urinate on the right rear wheel of the bus taking them to the space shuttle to bring themselves luck. Yeah, culture. Right, first job of the day ticked off, and those 2 buckets spread across the whole of the potato tubs, so job well done. Right, let's saw up some wood. I'm very lucky that a lot of my customers have got trees, and this time of the year I'm picking up the leaves for them and I keep them. Well, here's my modest little fig tree, and at this time of the year there are two kinds of fruit. I've yet to eat the fruit off this fig, maybe one day, but anyway, here you have the fruit that aren't going to make it. They're not big enough, they've got hard skins, and they'll blacken and drop off. That's these ones here, and these need to be removed now. And then further up the branch you can see there are the embryonic tiny little figs that will grow into next year's fruit. So by removing these ones lower down the branches, the plant has a chance to not waste energy, rather put energy into growing these tiny pea size and smaller figs that will be next year's fruit. So I'm going to remove all those larger figs now that are never going to make fruit. Well, as I said, I'm going home early to carry out duties as ordered by the boss in preparation for our viewing tomorrow, and then at the same time the viewing's taking place, we'll be with my mum celebrating her birthday. I expect to be around next weekend, so thank you for joining me. Thanks for watching this far. Thanks to all those who've subscribed, and if you haven't, please consider doing so. And I shall see you next weekend. I hope your garden is being tidied, ready for the winter. I've harvested a little bit of spinach today. That was what I was asked for. I've got some Brussels sprouts for my mum. But that's it really. I'm trying to still haven't harvested a single parsnip. But we're holding on to those for the colder weather. So I hope it's all going well in your gardens and on your allotments, and I shall see you next weekend, all being well. Until then, look after yourselves, take care, and bye for now.